Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. Your host is the founder of the UK Travel Planning website, Tracy Collins. In this podcast, Tracy shares destination guides, travel tips, and itinerary ideas, as well as interviews with a variety of guests who share their knowledge and experience of UK travel to help you plan your perfect UK vacation. Join us as we explore the UK from cosmopolitan cities to quaint villages, from historic castles to beautiful islands, and from the picturesque countryside to seaside towns.
Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. There are many fantastic train journeys to take across the UK, and travelling by train is a popular choice for many visitors. If you are travelling from London to Scotland and want to make the journey extra special, one possibility is to take the Caledonian Sleeper. It is one of our favourite train journeys anywhere in the world, and one we highly recommend to train lovers or those who are simply seeking to experience something a little special. Today I'm joined by my husband and co-founder of the UK Travel Planning website and author of the Guide to UK Train Travel ebook, Doug Collins, who is not only passionate about train travel, but with 25 years of experience working on the UK rail network, he's a perfect person to answer questions about travelling the UK by train. In this episode, Doug shares information about travelling on the Caledonian Sleeper, plus tips to ensure you make the most of this iconic train journey.
Hello, good to be here again. Caledonian Sleeper service, one of my favourite topics, one of my favourite trains. It's straightforward. The Caledonian Sleeper service, it's a luxury train service that gives a fantastic sleeper experience for all UK and overseas travellers. Want to enjoy a unique travel experience. This allows you to go to sleep in one country and wake up in another. How amazing.
So what Caledonian Sleeper services are there available?
Well, the sleeper services run on the West Coast main train line, and they run 6 days a week, and that's Friday to Sunday. They go between London Euston train station and then 5 Scottish locations. There's a northbound and a southbound train service. The two options really for passengers to choose from. There is the Highlander service, northbound, that runs from, again, London Euston, leaves about 9:15 in the evening, and that travels to Edinburgh, to the Waverley train station, all as one train. And then here the train splits into 3 sections. For onward journeys, it goes to Fort William, Aberdeen and Inverness. And obviously southbound services, they run in reverse. The Lowlander, as it's termed, is northbound from London, Euston, just before midnight, about 10 to 12, Monday to Friday. There's one train, and this divides at Carstairs, which is south and sort of between Edinburgh and Glasgow. And then one section goes to Glasgow Central, and then one to Edinburgh Waverley. And obviously, again, the southbound service in reverse.
Okay, so what different types of sleeper accommodation is available?
Well, there are 3 types of sleeping options available, depending on your own preferences and especially budget. This is in addition to what they call the comfort seat option, which is sleeping in your seat overnight. And the configuration of it is the same as a UK first class arrangement, where you've got 2 seats side by side, an aisle or gangway, and then another single. The seats come with a nice footrest, tray table, and which I think is fantastic. A piece around is a small lockable storage area. And as well as this, there's the Wi-Fi, there's multiple charging points, and then at seat food and drink refreshment service, which you request via an on-call button. Then there's the standard room, which is now called a classic room. These are twin bunk beds in rooms with a wash basin, priority club car access. The club car is really the equivalent of a traditional dining room or refreshment car, where you can go for breakfast or for dinner. In your room comes with a sleep kit, which includes your masks, earplugs, and various other bits of gadgetry. Your breakfast in the classic room is not included, but it can be purchased. Additionally, there is multiple charging points in these rooms, which is an improvement on the older type services. There's very good in berth or in room temperature control and dimmer lights. There's Wi-Fi, which is again is a new addition. Then there's room key card access, good baggage storage. Unfortunately, there's no toilet in this sort of room, but there's shared facilities at the end of the corridor. Then we have the club room, which is our particular favourite. This is a little hotel type experience. It's similar to the classic room, but with a bonus, you've got an ensuite toilet and shower. This room does also include the cost of your breakfast and station lounge access. The station lounges are some are owned by the Caledonian Sleeper service, and there's also shared facilities at some stations along the route as well. Really good. Some of these services are as well. This type of accommodation, the club room, is our usual go-to accommodation, if possible, of course, and whether it's available, as it ticks all the boxes for us in terms of the facilities, the availability and value for money. Then we have the Caledonian double room. Now, this is a real luxury. This is a double bed, no bunk beds in this one. It's a double bed, and the facilities are the same as the club room, but we haven't been in this one as yet. But we are told that it's actually very luxurious, but also needs to be booked in advance, as it gets booked up very quickly.
So I know the Caledonian Sleeper is special to you, of course. Can you explain why?
Well, it certainly is. Yeah, one of my first experiences as a solo traveller in my teenage years was travelling on the British Rail Sleepers. I think I was about 18 or 19, and my parents were holidaying in the Scottish Highlands, in a place called Killing. And the plan was that they were to meet me off the sleeper in Crenlarrick, which is on the Highland line to Fort William. The whole experience was so new to me, and I was so badly prepared in terms of luggage, food, drink. Well, just no idea. Luckily for me, there was an elderly gentleman who took pity on me. He explained everything about the sleepers, the facilities, the times, where to put luggage, the do's and the don'ts of sleeper travel. It was really like having my granddad on the train. He was so kind and thoughtful. I think he was a retired head teacher who regularly travelled to Scotland to go walking with his friends. He was in the traditional walking gear. He was such a nice man. And he was also getting off the train at Crenlarrick. I'll never forget his kindness to a fellow traveller. He was just so lovely. As well as this, the memory of waking up in a different country, and bear in mind, I was 18 or 19. I was travelling from England to Scotland, obviously. It was very special. The contrast of the scenery, seeing beautiful countryside, the hills and the lochs. And luckily, on the older trains, you could open the berth or sleeper compartment window. And I can really remember distinctly the fresh air and the pine smell coming through the window is absolutely amazing. One that just stays with me. I'm also excited these days to wake up in Scotland on the new Caledonian Sleepers. On our last visit there was snow everywhere, which just added to the whole magical experience. But that's me. But Tracy, I think you have your own experiences, don't you?
Yeah, that was a fantastic trip. And I struck up a conversation in the corridor with an elderly Scottish lady who told me all sorts of information about the area and about the families in the area and the history of the area. And who was very interested to know that I was a Campbell by descent. So it was just absolutely fantastic and not something that you expect to be able to, it doesn't happen every day. And it was just absolutely brilliant to have that experience and having that conversation with her. So why do you recommend the Caledonian Sleeper?
Well, it is such a unique and magical experience. Each journey is always so different times of the year and different people to talk to. And they've all got their own stories to tell. Practically, though, it provides travellers with a time-saving option to see more of the UK besides London, particularly when they are really pushed for time or have a packed itinerary. You spend your sleep time on the move. You wake up in a different country, you're fed, you're refreshed, and you're ready for the day.
So what is your favourite Caledonian Sleeper service?
Mine, or ours, is the Highland and Northbound service. This is one from London Euston to Fort William, mainly for the reasons described, the nostalgia or my happy memories of this service. The beautiful scene of the Highland line when you wake up in the morning. Also, the train arrives at 10 a.m. or just before is ideal for us too, because you can have a nice leisurely breakfast in the morning. We usually wake up and then try and have it in the dining car or the club car so you can enjoy the scenery, which is absolutely stunning. It really is. Every time we've used this service, we have had a fantastic time touring the Highland region. To us, the sleeper train is more than just a transport means. For us, it's always the start of a fantastic holiday.
So do you have any tips for people planning to take the Caledonian Sleeper?
Well, yes, from my own experiences, really. You need to travel light and wear comfortable clothes. The baggage storage area in the berths or rooms has improved, but it is still a little limited.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I do recommend travel packing cubes, because you can put in whatever it is that you're going to need on the journey into your packing cube. Then you can just use that during the train trip and actually leave everything else in your bag. So it doesn't mean that you've got to try and get everything out of your suitcase or your bag. And there's just not really the room to be able to do that. So highly recommend, if you're going to do this, that you have a packing cube with the items that you require for the journey.
Yeah, and also you need to pack for different temperatures and weather between England and Scotland throughout the whole of the year. Scotland's weather can be unpredictable, more so than England. Also, I would recommend putting all your valuables in one bag or a smaller bag to take with you to the club car if you go for drinks or meals, and not leave them in your room or your berth. I would also recommend that you sample the seasonal traditional Scottish food that is served in the club car for dinner and breakfast. It is delicious, in my opinion. So give the haggis and the different types of whiskies a try. And finally, I would always recommend engage and talk to your fellow travellers. Some of our most memorable experiences, not just on sleeper trains, but generally, have been from talking to people from all around the world.
Do you have any final words about the Caledonian Sleeper you would like to share with our listeners?
Yes, I do. I can highly recommend visitors to the UK, as well as UK residents who love train travel as much as we do. Try a Caledonian Sleeper journey at least once. Trust me, you will not be disappointed.
Thanks again to Doug for joining me for this episode and sharing his extensive knowledge and experience of UK train travel. You can hear more from Doug in episode 2 of the podcast, where he provides an introduction to UK train travel and shares some essential tips for those of you planning to travel the UK by rail. He will be back in future episodes with more UK train travel inspiration and tips. You will find links to everything mentioned in today's podcast in the show notes at uktravelplanning.com/episode 5, Guide to the Caledonian Sleeper, as well as more resources and inspiration for planning your UK vacation. Please don't forget to subscribe on your favourite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. If you're enjoying our podcast, please also leave a review. If you have more questions about visiting the UK, pop over and join our free Facebook community at facebook.com/UK travel planning. That's all for this episode. Until next time, happy UK travel planning.